Before we dive in, drop a quick hi in the comments. It may seem small, but trust me, it really helps YouTube share this story with more sci-fi fans like us. I'd love to see who's watching.
You are a coward. The words were still hanging in the air when the plasma spear Tyrannus Curvoth, ripped from one of his personal guards, punched straight through Malgros the Relentless's chest. The impact locked Malgros's body in place against the chains. Plasma burned through scale, muscle, and spine in a single brutal thrust. The smell of cooked flesh filled the throne chamber. Malgros didn't scream. Drakorath war commanders didn't scream. He stared back at Curvoth, jaws clenched as blood ran down the spear shaft and steamed against the black stone floor. "I survived," Malgros rasped. "To warn you." Curvoth twisted the weapon deeper. Bone cracked. "You survived because you ran," Curvoth said. "You abandoned the hunt." "I preserved fleet command," Malgros forced out. "The humans are not prey. They field kinetic weapons beyond our predictive models. They coordinate allied species with incompatible combat doctrines. They adapt faster than any doctrine the Imperium has faced." Curvoth shoved the spear another inch forward. Malgros coughed black blood across the throne chamber floor. "The Imperium does not adapt to vermin," Curvoth growled. "Vermin are exterminated." "Don't underestimate the humans," Malgros said. "They crippled my flagship with a weapon launched from their moon. They baited our fleet into a kill zone using coalition misdirection. If you treat them as primitive, you will lose more than fleets. You will lose control of every species watching this war." A ripple of anger spread through the chamber. Traditionalist officials hissed from the shadows. Curvoth leaned closer, golden eyes burning with controlled fury. "You are not being executed for losing ships," he said quietly. Malgros understood instantly. "You're executing me because admitting they are dangerous would make you look weak." Curvoth smirked. "Correct." He jerked the spear sideways. The plasma tore through Malgros's lung. The war commander's legs buckled against the chains. "You gathered intelligence by abandoning extermination orders," Curvoth said. "You embarrassed the Imperium. You allowed prey to believe they can survive." Malgros forced air into ruined lungs. Blood bubbled with every word. "They already believe it," he said, "because they already did." For the first time, silence fell across the chamber. Curvoth ripped the spear free, letting Malgros collapse forward against his restraints. The Supreme Commander watched him struggle to stay conscious. "You mistake 2 lucky battles for proof of strength," Curvoth said. "The humans have never seen the Imperium at full scale." Malgros tried to laugh. It came out as a wet, choking sound. "They will," he said. "And when they do, they'll kill you the same way they killed Dreth." Curvoth drove the spear through his heart. The chains rattled once, then went still. The Supreme Commander let the body hang for a moment before turning to the watching officials. "Let this be understood," he said. "The Imperium does not retreat. The Imperium does not fear adaptation. And I do not tolerate commanders who forget they are apex." The officials bowed. Curvoth dropped the spear and walked back toward his throne, stepping around the spreading pool of blood without looking down. Behind him, Malgros the Relentless hung lifeless in chains. And with him died the only warning the Imperium would ever receive about humanity. 24 hours after the retreat of War Commander Malgros, a single damaged ship limped into Sol's outer detection grid. Lieutenant Kyle Anders flagged it immediately. The vessel was broadcasting distress codes, but the encryption was old. Black market old. Captain Oren Sanders appeared at his shoulder. "Pirate configuration," Anders said. "Heavy damage. Requesting emergency docking." Sanders studied the profile. Patchwork hull. Mismatched engine clusters. Weapon mounts that had no business being on a civilian frame. "Armed escort," Sanders ordered. "Bring them to Bastion. And get me Carthage." Aboard the Carthage, General Floyd Carpenter received the transmission with Mercer standing beside him. A scarred face filled the screen. Missing left eye. Burns across the jaw. The kind of damage that came from surviving things that should have killed you. General Carpenter. The voice was rough, blunt. Name's Vorn, captain of the Carrion's Prize. I've got something you need. We don't negotiate with pirates. Good thing I'm not negotiating. Vorn leaned closer to the camera. I'm selling. Raided a Drakorath agri-world 6 months back. Found a virus that killed every crop on the planet. Thought it was useless. Then I heard you bastards killed Vorak Dreth. A pause. You want to kill gods? Vorn said. Here's how you make them bleed. The meeting took place in a sealed conference room, armed guards at every entrance. Vorn sat across from Carpenter, a data module on the table between them. Drakorath Agri-World, Vorn said. Designation Cal 7. We hit their storage facilities. I figured I'd found a crop blight. Thought maybe I could use it. Wipe out their food supply. Make the bastards starve. He paused. His jaw tightened slightly. Then I saw the fields. Drakorath bodies everywhere. Not just farmers, soldiers. Dead between the rows. Bleeding from their eyes. Their mouths. Every damn orifice. He looked directly at Carpenter. That's when I realized it wasn't killing the crops. It was killing them. Carpenter activated the module. Data streamed across the display. Genome sequences, infection vectors, mortality curves. Why bring this to us? Because the galaxy's in chaos. Everyone's talking about the species that beat the Imperium. You're the only ones who might actually use this. Vorn leaned back. I want sanctuary. Amnesty. The Drakorath have a long memory for raiders. Carpenter studied him, then nodded to Mercer. Take him to secure holding. Comfortable. Guarded. They left. Carpenter stared at the data. Then he called Dr. Nathan Keel. Kale arrived within the hour, 53 years old, gray at the temples, a CDC virologist before the Drakorath invasion. Now he weaponized pathogens for wars that officially didn't exist. He took the data module without speaking and disappeared into his lab. Carpenter didn't hear from him for 18 hours. When Kale emerged, he looked like he hadn't slept. It's not a crop blight, he said. It's species-specific. Carpenter gestured to the chair. Kale remained standing. The genome contains a dormant sequence unique to Drakorath physiology. It likely evolved alongside them on their homeworld. With modification, it can be activated. He brought up a projection. Rotating gene strands. Clean, precise. Airborne transmission. Incubation measured in hours. Hemorrhagic cascade once symptomatic. Fatality rate? Carpenter asked. 100%. Carpenter didn't react. Planetary spread? Within days. Silence settled between them. How long to make it viable? Carpenter asked. Weeks. Less if I have staff. You'll have them, Carpenter said. We'll designate it Operation Ashvale. Kale gave a small nod. I'll require full containment protocols. You'll have them. Another pause. Kale closed the display. If we deploy this, he said evenly, there won't be a Drakorath civilization left to retaliate. Carpenter met his eyes. I know. Kale picked up the data module. I'll begin immediately. He left. Carpenter remained where he was, watching the tactical display without seeing it. Beyond Sol, the Imperium was assembling another fleet. Inside Luna, humanity was assembling something else. 5 days later, 12 elegant vessels materialized at Sol's edge. The ships were unlike anything humanity had encountered. Organic curves, bioluminescent hulls that pulsed with soft light, no visible weapons, no aggressive posture. Verteran identified them immediately. Valerian ascendants, nomads, pacifists. His feathered crest flattened. They fled the Imperium twice rather than fight. Carpenter watched the formation hold position. Peaceful, patient. Why are they here? I do not know. The Valerian do not involve themselves in wars. The lead vessel transmitted a request for diplomatic contact. Carpenter granted it. Ascendant Lear I arrived aboard the Carthage flanked by 2 attendants. She was tall, 2 meters, with pale luminescent skin that glowed faintly in the dim light. Large eyes without visible pupils. Delicate features that suggested fragility but carried something far older. She moved with fluid grace and spoke in a voice that felt like calm water. General Carpenter, I am Lear I. I speak for the Valerian Ascendants. Carpenter inclined his head. Why have you come? We abandoned 2 worlds rather than fight the Drakorath. You defended one. She paused. We were wrong. The words settled heavily in the room. We believed survival meant distance. We believed if we ran far enough, the Imperium would eventually turn its attention elsewhere. Her glow shifted, steady but subdued. It did not. Mercer watched her carefully. So you're here because you're dying? No, Lear said calmly. We are dying because we kept running. Silence followed that. We bring a gift, she continued. Functional FTL jump technology. Faster than light transit across galactic distances. The drives are stable, proven. We offer them freely. Carpenter studied her. Why? Because fleeing did not save us. It only postponed the inevitable. We have learned that survival without resistance is merely a slower extinction. She held Carpenter's gaze. You resisted. That changed the calculus. Her glow dimmed slightly. Our species numbers 1,000 individuals. We will not recover, but our knowledge can. A pause. We will not die as a warning. We choose to die as a contribution. Carpenter held her gaze. You're offering us FTL capability. Yes, and instruction. Navigator Silthan will teach your pilots. A slender male Valerian stepped forward. His glow was brighter, younger. The drives are stable, Silthan said. Your operation of them will improve with practice. Carpenter looked at Ver. The Thalkai's amber eyes were wide. With FTL, Ver said quietly, you could reach anywhere, even Kethros Prime. Kethros Prime, the Drakorath homeworld. Carpenter turned back to Lear I. We accept. Training began immediately. Hours later, Silthan stood in a salvage shuttle bay, watching a human pilot strap into a Valerian-modified transport. The Krinthax had integrated the FTL drive with human interface systems. Crude, functional. Engage the drive when ready, Silthan said. The pilot activated the sequence. Space folded. Reality bent. The shuttle vanished. 3 million kilometers away, it reappeared. The pilot's vitals spiked. Nausea, disorientation, elevated heart rate. But he stayed conscious. Functional. Silthan's glow pulsed with approval. Your species adapts quickly, he said when the pilot returned. Most require months. You will be ready in weeks. The pilot removed his helmet and vomited into a disposal unit. Feels like my insides got turned outside, he muttered. That sensation diminishes with repetition. Silthan gestured to the next volunteer. Who is next? While the pilots trained in FTL, Dr. Kale worked with a dedicated team beneath Luna's surface, accelerating development. Samples from Cal-7, infected crop tissue brought by Vorn, rested inside containment fields. The pathogen moved through plant cells with aggressive efficiency, accelerating under controlled atmospheric conditions. Kale built a composite biological model. Thalkai archives provided xenogenetic baselines. Krinthax intelligence contributed detailed Drakorath physiological structure, circulatory redundancy, organ clustering, metabolic tolerances. Valerian evolutionary projections helped simulate homeworld co-adaptation patterns. The data was incomplete. It would have to be sufficient. Kale modified the dormant genome string and ran predictive simulations against the Drakorath model. Projected outcome? Systemic vascular collapse. Projected incubation? 6 hours. Projected mortality? Near total saturation within 72 hours of atmospheric release. Uncertainty margins remained high. He moved from simulation to controlled exposure. The engineered strain was introduced into reconstructed Drakorath cellular matrices based on coalition genetic data. Hemorrhagic failure initiated within minutes. He ran the sequence again. Identical results. Then he tested human tissue. No reaction. The virus passed through harmlessly. Species-specific targeting confirmed. Kale recorded the findings without comment. He turned to the capsule assembly station. Coconut-sized spheres. Pressurized aerosol dispersal system. Altitude trigger with timer redundancy. At 15,000 meters, the seal would rupture, releasing the pathogen into upper atmospheric currents for continental distribution. 4 capsules, 4 dispersal points. Projected planetary saturation. He sealed the first unit and secured it inside a reinforced containment case. 1 down. 3 to go. A week later, 3 crystalline ships arrived. They were beautiful, geometric structures that refracted light into prismatic patterns. Resonance, Kael'thar spoke for them. His voice was harmonic, musical, each word a layered tone. We are Korvathi, remnant of billions, survivors of 3. We offer advanced energy shielding technology in exchange for sanctuary. Lieutenant Perez analyzed their systems within hours. Coalition shields last 89 seconds under sustained fire, she reported. Korvathi shielding doesn't collapse on a timer. It's dynamically sustained. As long as the reactor can feed it, the barrier regenerates continuously. She adjusted the display, frowning slightly. But it's not invulnerable. Heavy saturation fire can overwhelm the power curve. If energy input exceeds reactor output for long enough, the field destabilizes. Perez looked up. It buys endurance, not immunity. Carpenter approved integration immediately. Within days, shield upgrades were integrated across the Coalition fleet. Beneath Luna's surface, Sigma Division trained in the engineering bay. The salvaged Drakorath shuttle sat scorched and battered, but operational. Krinthak's engineers had rebuilt the control systems. Biometric bypasses installed. Flight data recovered from debris. Ven sat in the cockpit. The seat was too large. The controls were raised tactile symbols meant for clawed fingers. 2 weeks, the Krinthak's delegation clicked. You will fly adequately. Adequately. You will not die during takeoff. Survival during combat is variable. Ven gripped the alien yoke. Smith, Markov, and Reyes practiced with him. 4 additional operators rotated through training. 8 total. 4 teams. 4 atmospheric hubs. 4 dispersal points. Then the sensors screamed. Thalkai long-range detection picked up gravitational distortions at the edge of known space. Massive. Coordinated. Vare brought the data to Carpenter personally. Carpenter looked at the tactical display. He convened the War Council. The room was crowded. Carpenter, Mercer, Cross, Vare, Ven, Kale, Lear-I, Kael'thar, Rykor, Silas. Drakorath fleet, larger than Malgros commanded, he said. Lear-I approached, her luminescent glow dimmed with concern. We have identified the flagship from its energy signature, the Dawnbreaker, larger than Vorak Dreth's throne of scales. Carpenter looked at her. Who commands it? Tyrannus Kurvoth, the Unyielding, Lear-I said quietly. The second apex, younger than Vorak. He executed War Commander Malgros for retreating from Sol. The Imperium's traditionalists demanded immediate vengeance. Kurvoth leads this fleet personally to prove his legitimacy. Carpenter nodded and changed the tactical display. 2 images. Sol system. Kethros Prime. Kurvoth's fleet will arrive here. He gestured to Sol. expecting to destroy Earth in battle. While we engage his fleet, Sigma Division strikes here, he indicated Kithros Prime, and releases the virus on their homeworld. Ven stepped forward. Sigma Division stands ready to deploy to Kithros Prime. Kale activated holographic projections, 4 dispersal points, atmospheric transport network, capsules detonate at altitude. Jet streams carry the virus across continents. Planetary saturation within 72 hours. Lyrae's glow pulsed softly. Our FTL drives will carry you there and bring you home. Rekor growled. And while your team kills their world, we kill their fleet. Carpenter nodded. 2-front operation, simultaneous execution. When Kurvoth arrives at Sol, his homeworld will already be dying. Silence. Mercer spoke carefully. Sir, if we fail, the Drakorath genocide Earth. If we succeed, we genocide them. Carpenter looked at each of them. I'm not asking if this is right. I'm asking if you'll do it. One by one, they nodded. Carpenter turned to Ven. Can your team execute this? Ven's expression didn't change. We'll finish the mission. We always do. The Valerian vessel was called Lightweaver. Ven stood in its pristine interior and felt out of place. Everything was smooth, organic. The walls pulsed with soft bioluminescence. No hard edges, no weapon mounts. A ship built by a species that had never known war, until now. Navigator Silthan moved through the bridge with fluid grace, his luminescent hands dancing across controls that responded to touch and thought. Your team is secured? He asked. Ven glanced back. 7 operators sat in acceleration couches designed for Valerian physiology. Smith, Markov, Reyes, 4 others, Dax, Kasim, Hale, Yates. All checked equipment in silence. Whisper 2 shotguns. Biometric overrides. 4 sealed containment cases. Planetary extinction in coconut-sized capsules. We're ready, Ven said. Silthan's glow shifted. Approval or concern, Ven couldn't tell. The jump to Kithros Prime will be unpleasant. He activated the FTL drive. Space began to fold around the ship. Do not fight it. Surrender to the sensation. How long? Ven asked. Subjectively, hours. Objectively, seconds. The drive engaged. Reality bent. Ven's stomach inverted. The sensation was worse than training. His vision tunneled. His inner ear screamed that he was falling in 6 directions simultaneously. Time stretched and compressed. He tasted copper. Felt his cells vibrating out of sync with the universe. Then it stopped. He gasped. Looked around. Smith was pale. Reyes gripped his harness like it was the only real thing left. Markov sat perfectly still, either unaffected or refusing to show weakness. Dax vomited into his helmet. Apologies, Silthan said. The first long-distance jump is always difficult. Ven forced himself upright, looked at the viewport. A planet hung before them. Dark red atmosphere. Continents visible beneath swirling clouds, massive cities glowing against the night side like infected wounds. Kithros Prime, the Drakorath homeworld. We are at the system's edge, Silthan said. Undetected. When you complete your mission, transmit on this frequency. He displayed coordinates. We will extract you. And if we don't transmit? Ven asked. Silthan's glow dimmed. Then we will mourn. And tell Earth what you did. The insertion shuttle was small, cramped. A salvaged Drakorath transport the Krinthax had modified with human interface systems and falsified transponder codes. Ven took the pilot seat. 2 weeks of training, alien controls, muscle memory born from repetition and necessity. He activated the engines. The shuttle detached from Lightweaver and began its approach to Kithros Prime. Behind him, the team was silent. Smith finally spoke. Never thought I'd die on an alien homeworld. Reyes checked his demolition pack. Better than dying at home watching it burn. Markov said nothing, just checked his rifle once more. Ven gripped the control yoke, too large for human hands, designed for clawed fingers. "We're not dying," he said. "We're finishing this." The shuttle entered atmosphere. Heat washed over the hull. Turbulence shook the frame. Ven fought the controls as alien friction coefficients tried to tear them apart. Through the viewport, the planet revealed itself. Cities sprawled across continents. Massive, ancient, built over millennia of conquest and expansion. Architecture that celebrated dominance. Towers that reached toward the sky like claws. And Drakorath. Everywhere, not soldiers. Civilians. Walking streets. Operating vehicles. Living lives. Dax stared. "Sir, there are families down there." "There were families on the Thalkai homeworld too," Ven said. 2 billion of them. The Drakorath glassed it from orbit. Dax said nothing. The shuttle's comm crackled. Drakorath traffic control. Deep. Hissing. Aggressive even in routine transmission. "Unidentified transport. Transmit authorization codes." Ven activated the Krinthax override. Falsified transponder. Slave-era workarounds embedded in systems the Drakorath never bothered to secure, because who would dare? Silence. Then, "Cargo Transport 739er. You are cleared for commercial hub approach. Proceed to landing zone 12. The channel cut. Smith exhaled slowly. It worked. Of course it worked, Reyes muttered. The Krinthax ran their systems for 600 years. They know every back door. The Imperium never imagined anyone would try this. Ven guided the shuttle toward the coordinates. Below, the capital city, the Crucible, spread like a scar across the landscape. They landed in a commercial district. The bay was massive. Hundreds of shuttles, cargo haulers, passenger transports, the infrastructure of an empire that had never known siege. Ven powered down and looked at his team. Final check. Capsules? Each team leader confirmed. 4 sealed containment cases. 4 coconut-sized spheres of engineered extinction. Biometric overrides? Smith tapped his wrist unit. Krinthax tech is online. We can bypass Drakorath security. Weapons? Whisper 2 shotguns. Plasma charges. Backup sidearms. Ven stood. We split here. 4 teams, 4 targets. You know your objectives. He activated a tactical display. The Crucible and surrounding regions. 4 marked locations. Team 1. Capital Atmospheric Hub. Dax and I. Highest population density. Highest security. We draw attention. Team 2. Northern Industrial Hub. Smith and Kasim. Factory districts. Heavy cargo traffic. Lower security. Team 3. Eastern Coastal Hub. Markov and Hale. Port operations. Oceanic platforms. Markov provides overwatch during extraction. Team 4. Southern Agri-Hub. Reyes and Yates. Agricultural zones. Rural. Reyes handles contingencies. He looked at each of them. Synchronization is critical. All shuttles launch within a 5-minute window. Detonation at altitude. 15,000 meters minimum. Timer backup if altitude trigger fails. Extraction point? Smith asked. Here, this bay. Rendezvous in 90 minutes. Valerian will be waiting at system edge. Silence. Ven picked up his capsule case. 20 minutes from first launch to final detonation. 4 dispersal points. Planetary extinction. He met their eyes. If anyone gets compromised, proceed anyway. Mission over individuals. He thought of Kowalski bleeding out on the throne of scales. We've finished the mission, Ven said. All of us. Smith stepped forward, extended his hand. Ven gripped it. Markov gave a single nod. Reyes managed something that might have been a smile. See you on the other side, Colonel. Count on it. They dispersed into the alien city. Ven and Dax moved through maintenance tunnels beneath the Crucible. The passages were wide, built for Drakorath work crews. Hot, humid. Service conduits lined the walls. Emergency lighting cast everything in red. Crinthak's schematics guided them through the maze. 600 years of forced labor meant the former slaves knew every tunnel, every access point the Drakorath never bothered to secure. The capital atmospheric hub sat directly above them. "Maintenance access should put us inside the launch bay," Ven said. "Bypass security entirely." They climbed through a vertical shaft, emerged inside a service corridor adjacent to the main hub. Through the bulkhead, the sound of thousands of Drakorath, merchants, travelers, families preparing for journeys. But they didn't need to go through the terminal. Crinthak's intelligence had mapped the shuttle maintenance base. Direct access to parked craft, no checkpoints, no scanners, just service workers and automated systems. Ven checked the bay schedule on a nearby terminal. Crinthak's override codes unlocked it instantly. "Civilian passenger shuttle, high-altitude route, launch bay 7, departure in 12 minutes. Dax's breathing was unsteady. "Stay focused," Ven said. They moved through the service corridor. No crowds, no guards. Just the hum of machinery and the heat of Drakorath infrastructure. Launch Bay 7 opened before them. The shuttle sat ready, fueled, automated pre-flight complete. "That one," Ven said. They moved quickly. In the northern industrial zone, Smith and Kasum infiltrated a cargo facility. Automated systems, fewer organics, heavy machinery moving containers the size of buildings. Katsim accessed the cargo manifest. Freight hauler departing in 8 minutes. Altitude profile is good. Smith checked the capsule. Planted in the ventilation system. Set timer for 15 minutes. They moved. At the eastern coastal hub, Markov and Hale approached a tourist shuttle on an oceanic platform. Whined off the water. Salt in the air. Drakorath civilians boarding for a sightseeing flight along the coast. Hale spoke quietly. "Security is light. Target is clear." Markov nodded. They planted the capsule in the shuttle's environmental system, armed the timer, 14 minutes. A security guard noticed them. Markov's rifle cracked once, suppressed. The guard dropped. They boarded the shuttle as engines powered up. In the southern agricultural zone, Reyes and Yates infiltrated a rural transport hub. Fewer Drakorath, open skies, fields stretching to the horizon. They located their target, agri-transport, supply shuttle for remote farming stations, planted the capsule, set timer, 13 minutes. A young Drakorath, juvenile, curious, watched from a distance. Reyes froze. The child stared, tilted its head, then turned and walked away. Yates looked at Reyes. "Sir?" "Get to the shuttle," Reyes said quietly. They boarded as engines ignited. Ven and Dax reached their target shuttle. The ventilation access was secured. Dax worked the override while Ven kept watch. Alarm suddenly screamed. Security forces converged. Drakorath soldiers in armor, weapons raised. "Go!" Ven shouted. Dax opened the panel. Ven grabbed the capsule, placed it inside, armed the timer. Plasma fire erupted. Dax took a hit to the shoulder. Armor absorbed most of it, but he went down hard. Ven pulled him up. They ran. The shuttle was powering up, boarding ramp closing. They dove through as it sealed. Ven threw Dax into a seat and took the pilot position. Drakorath security outside, weapons firing. Ven's hands moved across alien controls. Engines engaged. The shuttle lifted. Plasma lanced past the viewport. They climbed. Across Kethros Prime, 4 shuttles ascended. 12,000 meters. 13,000. Timers counting down across all 4 shuttles. Smith transmitted. "Northern shuttle at altitude. Capsule deployed. Breaking off." Ven watched his altimeter. 14,000 meters. Dax was bleeding. Conscious but pale. "Sir, release it now." "Not yet." Then the interceptors appeared. 3 Drakorath military craft, fast, armed, targeting the shuttle. Traffic control screamed demands. Unidentified shuttle, return to hub immediately. Ven ignored them. Altitude, 14,500 meters. The first interceptor fired. Plasma struck the starboard engine. The shuttle lurched. Controls sparked. Ven's hands burned, but he held course. Altitude, 14,800 meters. Almost there, Colonel, Dax said. The second interceptor fired. Direct hit. The cockpit breached. Atmosphere screamed out. Dax took the plasma bolt through his chest. Dead instantly. Ven felt heat sear his left side. Armor melted, skin beneath burning. But his hands stayed on the controls. Altitude, 14,900 meters. Close enough. Smith's voice crackled through dying comms. Northern capsule detonating in 3, 2. Markov's shuttle. Confirmation click. Reyes. Southern dispersal on schedule. Ven looked at his timer. 4 minutes. Looked at his altitude. 14,950 meters. The shuttle was dying. Controls failing. But the capsule was armed, and the jet streams at this altitude would carry it across the continent. Ven transmitted. Capital dispersal on schedule. Extract without me. Smith's voice broke. Colonel, your status? Ven pulled Kowalski's whisper from his mag lock, held it, thought about the breacher's last words. I will live. Ven smiled through pain. That's an order, Sergeant. He cut transmission. The third interceptor fired. The shuttle came apart. Timer hit 0. The capsule detonated. Pressurized aerosol erupted into Kethros Prime's atmosphere, a cloud of engineered death spreading on winds that would carry it across continents. The wreckage fell. Ven never felt the impact. Across the planet, 4 detonations, 4 dispersal clouds. Virus spreading on jet streams and wind currents. Planetary saturation beginning. Smith's shuttle crash-landed in industrial wasteland. He and Kasim extracted, moving toward rendezvous. Markov and Hale ditched the tourist shuttle over open water, swam to shore, alive, extracting. Reyes and Yates abandoned the agri-transport over empty fields. Both survived landing, en route to extraction point. Smith's voice came through the team channel. Broken. All teams, sound off. Responses came in. Northern team, Eastern team, Southern team. Silence where Ven should answer. Smith closed his eyes. Proceed to extraction. The Colonel completed his mission. Far above Kethros Prime, Sylvan received the transmission. 6 operators, not 8. He did not ask what happened. He simply prepared the Lightweaver for extraction. And on the planet below, the virus spread. Silent, invisible, inevitable. The extinction of an apex species had begun. Millions of light-years away, Kurvoth's fleet entered the Sol system. General Carpenter stood on the Carthage Bridge and watched sensors bloom with red contacts. Hundreds of ships, more than Malgros had brought, more than Earth had ever faced. Kurvoth's voice boomed across all frequencies. Humanity, you humiliated the Imperium. Now you will learn what it means to defy the Apex. Carpenter looked at Mercer, at Cross, at the Coalition fleet arrayed around Earth. All ships, he said calmly. Battle stations. The war had arrived. Kurvoth's fleet arrived like a storm of vengeance. Hundreds of ships dropped from FTL at Sol's Edge. The Dawnbreaker led them, bristling with weapons, a monument to Kurvoth's need to prove himself worthy of Vorak's throne. Aboard the Carthage, General Floyd Carpenter watched red contacts flood the tactical display. Captain Mercer stood beside him. Commander Cross transmitted from the Ironfall. The Coalition fleet arrayed itself, human capital ships, Korvathi crystalline vessels glowing with sustained shields, Velgar pack formations, Thalkai scouts feeding targeting data. Kurvoth's voice boomed across all frequencies. Humanity, you killed Vorak Dreth. You humiliated the Imperium. Now you will learn what it means to defy the Apex. Your world will burn. Your species will be remembered only as a lesson in the futility of resistance." Carpenter looked at Earth hanging below. Blue, fragile, 8 billion lives. He opened the fleet-wide channel. "All ships, engage at will." The battle erupted. 3 million kilometers away, on Kethros Prime, the first Drakorath collapsed in the street. Blood poured from his eyes, his nose, his mouth, internal hemorrhaging visible through translucent membranes beneath his scales. He tried to call for help. Blood filled his throat. He died choking on it. Within the hour, hundreds more fell. Within 6 hours, thousands. The virus spread on every breath, every cough, every scream. Hospitals overflowed. Medical staff infected while treating patients. No cure, no treatment, no escape. The crucible descended into chaos. Plasma lances crossed the void above Earth. The Drakorath fleet advanced with overwhelming firepower. Kurvoth had brought 3 times what Malgros commanded, hundreds of ships coordinating in brutal synchronization. The Coalition met them with everything they had. Korvathi's shields flared under sustained bombardment. And held. The crystalline vessels absorbed punishment that would have vaporized human ships. Their energy barriers didn't fail, didn't collapse. Just endured. Velgar pack ships dove through Drakorath formations. Plasma cutters raking destroyer screens. Rykor's Bloodfang led the assault, scarred and battered but refusing to yield. Human railguns fired with Thalkai precision. Tungsten penetrators struck exactly where Krinthak's intelligence said they would. Gravity shear emitters, reactor junctions, shield generators. Drakorath ships died, but so did Coalition vessels. A Thalkai frigate broke apart under concentrated fire. A Velgar clan ship exploded defending a human destroyer. The UEDC Spearhead, already damaged from previous battles, took a direct hit and went dark. The void filled with debris and corpses. On Kethros Prime, panic became horror. The virus had spread across 4 continents. Millions infected. Hundreds of thousands already dead. Emergency broadcasts screamed warnings. Stay inside. Avoid contact. Seek medical treatment. But there was no treatment. Only death. A Drakorath mother held her child as they both bled from their eyes. A merchant collapsed in his stall, blood pooling beneath him. A soldier on leave for his daughter's hatching died watching her bleed out in his arms. The cities emptied as the living fled the dying. But the virus traveled with them. Respiratory transmission, inevitable spread, planetary extinction in motion. Kurvoth identified the Carthage as the Coalition's command nexus. He had studied Vorak Dreth's failure. The humans coordinated their fleet through centralized command. Kill the command ship, fragment the defense. "All battle groups," Kurvoth ordered. "Concentrate fire on the human flagship. Destroy it." The Dawnbreaker led the assault personally. Carpenter watched the tactical display shift as dozens of Drakorath ships converged on the Carthage. "Sir," Mercer said carefully, "they're targeting us specifically." "I see it." Plasma lances hammered the Korvathi shields. The barriers held, but the energy drain was catastrophic. Power systems struggled to maintain the defensive field under sustained bombardment. "Shields at 60%, the tactical officer reported. Cross-transmitted from the Ironfall. "General, we can take over fleet coordination. You need to withdraw." "Negative," Carpenter said. "Maintain assault on Dawnbreaker. All railgun platforms, target their flagship." "Sir, execute." The Coalition fleet turned its fury on Kurvoth's ship. Aboard the Dawnbreaker, alarm screamed as tungsten rounds punched through armor plating. "Shields holding," a sub-commander reported, "but damage is accumulating." Kurvoth watched the tactical display. The human flagship was weakening, shields failing under his assault. But his own ship was bleeding. "Continue firing," he ordered. "Destroy that flagship." On the Carthage, the shields collapsed. Plasma lances tore through the hull. Deck after deck breached. Fires erupted across engineering sections. Crew died at their stations. The bridge shuddered as a direct hit vaporized the starboard weapons array. Mercer was thrown against a bulkhead. Blood ran down his face. He pulled himself upright. "Sir, we need to evacuate. The ship is lost." Carpenter remained at the command station, hands steady on the controls, coordinating fleet movements, transmitting targeting priorities. Not yet. Another hit. The view screen cracked. Atmosphere began venting through a hull breach near the bridge. Emergency systems sealed it. Barely. "Shields gone," the tactical officer said. "Hull integrity at 30%. Reactor approaching critical." Cross's voice, desperate. "General, please, get to the escape pods." Carpenter looked at the tactical display. The Dawnbreaker was damaged, bleeding, but still functional, still coordinating the Drakorath fleet. He opened a direct channel to every coalition ship. "All vessels. Concentrate all fire on Dawnbreaker. Ignore everything else. Cripple that flagship. That is my final order." Mercer grabbed Carpenter's arm. "Sir, Floyd, the ship is dying. You have to go." Carpenter met his eyes. "Get to an escape pod. Tell them we held the line. I'm not leaving you." "That's an order, Captain." The bridge buckled. Structural supports collapsed. Fire spread across consoles. Carpenter pushed Mercer toward the emergency exit. "Go!" Mercer stumbled toward the hatch, looked back once. Carpenter was already back at the command station, transmitting coordinates, target priorities, fleet movements. The hatch sealed. Carpenter watched the tactical display through smoke and flames. The Coalition fleet was focusing everything on the Dawnbreaker. Railguns, plasma cutters, concentrated assault from every angle. Kurvoth's flagship shuddered under the barrage, shields failing, hull breaching. Carpenter allowed himself a small smile. Through the cracked viewport, Earth hung below. Blue, beautiful, alive. The reactor alarm reached critical pitch. Carpenter transmitted one final message. "Earth stands. Make sure it stays that way." The Carthage exploded. The shockwave rippled across the battlefield. For a moment, the Coalition fleet faltered. Then Mercer's voice came through from an escape pod. Broken. Determined. "All ships. This is Acting Commander Mercer. General Carpenter's final order was to destroy that flagship. Execute." The fleet rallied with renewed fury. Kurvoth watched the Carthage's debris field expand. Victory. The human command ship destroyed. Their coordination should collapse now. But the assault on Dawnbreaker intensified. Railgun rounds tore through weakened armor. Velgar ships swarmed like predators, sensing blood. Korvathi shielded vessels advanced without fear, absorbing fire that should have killed them. "Shields at 15%, his subcommander reported. Multiple hull breaches. Reactor fluctuating. Kurvoth stared at the tactical display. The human flagship was gone. But the fleet fought harder, not weaker. He had killed their general, and they were destroying him for it. "All ships," Kurvoth ordered. "Disengage. Fall back to Kethros Prime. Supreme Commander, execute the order." The Drakorath fleet began to scatter. Mercer floated in his escape pod, watching the enemy retreat. Cross transmitted. "Should we pursue?" Mercer looked at the Carthage debris field. Carpenter's grave, thousands of crew gone. Looked at Earth, still intact, still blue. "No," he said quietly. "There's nowhere left for them to run." The Coalition fleet held position. Sol had survived. But the cost was written in burning wrecks and empty command stations. At the edge of the Kethros Prime system, the Lightweaver materialized from FTL. 6 operators boarded in silence. Smith, Markov, Reyes, Kasim, Hale, Yates. Sylvan's glow dimmed as he counted them. "Where is your commander?" Smith's voice was flat. "He completed the mission." Sylvan said nothing, just prepared the jump back to Sol. The team sat in the pristine interior. No one spoke. Ven was gone. Dax was gone. But the virus was spreading. The FTL drive engaged. Reality folded. They left Kethros Prime behind. Kurvoth's damaged Dawnbreaker limped into orbit above his homeworld. He expected to regroup, plan a counteroffensive, return to Sol with overwhelming force. Instead, planetary distress signals flooded his comm. Transmissions screaming about plague, death. "What is this?" Kurvoth demanded. His sensors officer pulled up fragmented medical reports. Hemorrhagic symptoms, rapid spread, entire districts collapsing, no identified pathogen, no effective treatment. "It's everywhere," the officer said. "We don't understand how it's spreading." Kurvoth landed in the Crucible. The capital was dying. Bodies in the streets. Blood everywhere. Survivors stumbling, bleeding from eyes and mouths. Hospitals overflowing with the dying. Medical staff collapsing at their stations. He accessed planetary medical reports. The data was catastrophic. Incubation, 6 hours. Symptoms, internal hemorrhaging, respiratory failure. Death, inevitable. Transmission, airborne, respiratory, unstoppable. Infection spread, all 4 continents, all major population centers. Casualties, millions dead, billions infected. Kurvoth stood in the empty throne room and understood. Realization struck like a physical blow. The humans, they didn't just defend, they attacked. He tried to coordinate emergency response, quarantine protocols, medical research, evacuation. All futile. Hours passed. He felt the first pain in his chest, internal, sharp. Then his nose began to bleed. He touched his face. Blood came away on his claws. He had breathed the contaminated air when he landed, walked among the infected, stood in the dying city. He was already infected, already dying. "No," he whispered. But biology did not negotiate. His eyes began to bleed. Kurvoth collapsed in the throne room alone. He thought about Malgros's warning. Don't underestimate the humans. They adapt. They coordinate. They will kill you the same way they killed Dreth. He had executed Malgros for cowardice, and Malgros had been right. The humans were not prey. They were not victims. They were a disease, a plague, an extinction event. And he had underestimated them. Blood filled his lungs. He coughed. It sprayed across the throne room floor. His final thought, "We treated them as vermin. They exterminated us like vermin." Kurvoth the Unyielding died bleeding on the floor of an empire that no longer existed. Days later, a Valerian scout ship approached Kethros Prime. Silthan transmitted findings to Acting Commander Mercer. No Drakorath life detected. Cities empty. Virus burned through the population. Complete extinction confirmed. Mercer sat in the command chair that had been Carpenter's, stared at the data. An entire species. Gone. He closed his eyes. Understood. Returned to Sol. On Earth, they held a funeral for General Floyd Carpenter. Military honors. Coalition attendance. Every species that had fought under his command. Ver Terren spoke. General Carpenter united a broken galaxy. He gave his life ensuring it survived. We honor him. We remember him. We will never forget what he sacrificed. An empty casket. His body was lost with the Carthage. Earth mourned. Aboard the Black Horizon, Sigma Division gathered in front of the memorial wall. Smith added Ven's name beside Kowalski's. 2 commanders, 2 missions, both completed. Markov stood silent. Reyes stared at the names. The surviving operators said nothing. Smith placed the remaining Whisper 2 units in a sealed case beside the original Whisper. 11 shotguns. Ven's was lost with him on Kethros Prime. "We finished the mission," Smith said quietly, just like he said we would. No one responded. There was nothing left to say. Weeks later, reports flooded in. Mercer stood on the bridge of the Coalition flagship. Dozens of species requesting diplomatic contact, asking for Earth's leadership, seeking guidance from the only power that had defeated the Drakorath Imperium. Vare approached. "The galaxy is watching, Commander. They see Earth as their protector." Mercer looked at the casualty reports. "We didn't ask for this," Mercer said. "No," Vare agreed, "but you answered when called. That is why they follow you." Mercer turned to the viewport. Earth hung below. Blue, alive, victorious. He thought about Terran, about Carpenter, about Ven, about Kowalski, about the price of survival. The galaxy fell overnight when the Drakorath massacred the Council. Now it looked to Earth to lead. But leadership had required becoming something no one expected. Not a victim, not a hero, a plague.
Hey there, space human. I'm really curious about your thoughts on this video. Drop a quick comment and let me know what's on your mind. Or just say hi if you prefer. Either way, I'd love to hear from you. Also, remember to check the pinned comment. Trust me, it's worth a look. Oh, and one last thing. I've chosen another video for you to watch. Just click the card here, or here if you want the whole playlist. See you there.